What is good, you guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and I have my Sapphire 280X Toxic graphics card right now, and I want to change out the thermal paste. It's not getting bad temperatures. Honestly, most of this is just because I'm bored. But this card is old. I did buy it brand new, but I mean it's old in the terms of when it was made. Chances are it's been sitting on the shelf for who knows how long, and honestly I kind of just want to see what everything inside of it looks like for the most part. That's the main reason I'm going to do this. But I'm going to be basically taking off the whole heat sink and everything, and change out the thermal paste and seeing what it looks like underneath, because I'm really curious. So I'm kind of just sizing it up, I guess. I'm seeing a lot of little screws here. Honestly, if I can take off this yellow piece, I might actually just go and paint that real quick a different color, because you know that'd be freaking awesome to have a different color. So we'll see how this goes. We'll start taking it apart. So things you're going to need obviously is your new thermal paste, a screwdriver. I have several different types of screwdrivers just because I like to have the right screwdriver for the right job. Years of working on cars and motorcycles. Stripping out a Phillips head screw is never a fun thing to do, so always make sure you're using the right screwdriver for the right screw. So yeah, I've done that dozens and dozens of times, and I cannot tell you. Not to mention I've worked on a lot of things where people have done basically using the wrong screwdriver, and I had to figure out how to get the screw out. Sometimes you're lucky and you can get a bigger screwdriver and usually get it out, or use a flat head. Sometimes you're unlucky and you have to drill the screw out. Either one of those are a hassle. So first I'm going to take off this little black plastic shroud and see if I can get this piece off of the yellow piece, because if I can, then I can paint my graphics card a different color, which would be sweet. I don't know what color I'm going to paint it though. I haven't really thought about it, but if it's possible, shit. And there we have it. There's a little plastic black shroud right there. Wait a second. That is aluminum, believe it or not. Thought it was plastic. Nope, that's aluminum. So I'm going to keep this the flat black color, because honestly I like the way it looks flat black. So, but the yellow part is the part I want to get rid of. I'm not a big fan of yellow. Alrighty, so now it's time to move the yellow shroud. So what we're going to do is carefully look for spots that this is actually latched onto, and it's looking, well, there's two screws in the back here. So one thing you guys want to be sure you do when doing this is make sure you keep track of all your screws and exactly where they go. So I just used a magnet to just bunch all these screws together. I'm not retarded. Not saying that anyone that can't figure stuff out is, but I'm just saying I've been working with screws and bolts and stuff for upwards of like 6-7 years. So when it comes to pulling things apart and putting them back together and just kind of figuring out where screws go, I'm actually pretty decent at it, so I'm not really worried about it. So this one, I'm not sure if it's like a clip-on or what is actually. Okay, so at the bottom of the heatsink there's actually something that screws to this part right here. So we're going to have to actually remove the heatsink. Now, I'm hoping that the heatsink is just bolted on by these 4 bolts in the back, and if so, that would be awesome, but if not, I might have to remove the back plate to remove some other screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the cross pattern. We're going to do a little bit of twist at a time. I'm going about 2 full turns. You don't have to be this tedious, but I don't want to break my $300 graphics card, so I am going to be this tedious. Oh, hey, the screw just came completely out. See, they're not screwed in much, but I just wanted to relieve some pressure from it first. I've never taken this graphics card apart, you guys, so this is my first time doing this. I have taken other graphics cards apart, just not this specific one. And lately, I've just been, like I said, I was bored, so I thought I might do it. So, I'm not sure if that's going to do it for that, because I'm not sure if it's bolted in anywhere else. I don't think it would be, because the back plate doesn't have screws that you can actually remove. They're actually on the other side of the board, which is covered up by the fan array. So I'm not sure if I want to just pop it. I'm not really sure right now. So I see where the fans plug in, and that looks really annoying to have to plug back in there. So let's see, maybe it'll just show me some love, show me some screws. I don't see any screws, so let's pry it. Just a little bit here. See if we can get some motion from it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this fan off right here. Hopefully without dropping the screw. Basically I want to check and see underneath this before I continue prying at it to make sure I'm not missing any screws. Because, you know, that would be a horrible thing to do. Because it's like really stuck on there, and that could be the combination of thermal paste and sticky thermal pad that could keep it on there. So let's pull this fan up and see if I can see any screws under there, and I'm not really seeing anything. I'm seeing some dust, so I'm kind of glad I'm pulling this thing apart because it's really letting me clean it out too. Okay, there we go. All right, so I just needed a little bit of love there, and they put a hell load of thermal paste on here. So right here we're going to want to remember the black plug plugs into the second one, and the white plug plugs into the first one. Alrighty, so those are our fans, and this is our gigantic heat sink. Look at that. Thing's a monster. So this is what, these are thermal pads. Oop, they're sticky. I probably shouldn't have put my hand on that shit. Oops. Yeah, my hands are covered in paint. I should probably go wash my hands now. I'm going to go do that real quick. Alright, so we're back. I washed my hands. I got a little bit of nastiness on this one thermal pad, and I'm really going to hope that this works out. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'm using this cloth to basically wipe off the nastiness. Either way, that thermal paste is pretty chunky, old feeling. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is clean off the old thermal paste. So we're going to take our isopropyl alcohol, and we're just going to basically get this nasty caked on mess of a thermal paste application off of here. So we got the bulk of it. Now to just completely clean it up. I'm trying to scrape off that white piece right there, and it turns out it was an arrow epic fail. Gotta love it. Okay, so now we're going to get the actual thermal compound out, the actual processor of the GPU, well, the actual GPU. They over-applied this one like a motherfucker. So as we can see, this thing's got a crazy looking power delivery over here. That's pretty intense. Individual heat sinks on all the MOSFETs. Yeah, that's actually really nice right there. Some nice nice capacitors. I don't know what this is. Is that the LED? No, the LED strips on the side of this thing. So then what is this? This has like this little orange clear covering. I'm wondering if I should take it off and paint it. Who knows? Maybe I should. Let's see if it comes off easy. Honestly, if something doesn't come off easy, it's not worth the risk, or it's not worth the hassle to paint it. So, but I mean, if it does come off easy, which it looks like it does. I'm not sure if there's any screws in the bottom. Looks like it's just kind of held in place. Oh hey, this top part comes off, and then you can see these little soldering points and like random little pieces of stuff that were in there. So I feel like this bottom part is held in by this bolt, which holds on half of the cooling for the VRM. So we're just going to unscrew the bolt and see if we can tug it out from underneath, and if we can, then cool. If not, then oops. Then oh well. Never want to force anything, you guys. Remember that. Okay, so it's not coming off, so I'm just going to screw it back down so I don't lose it. It's always nice when you drop a screw, especially really tiny screws. There we go. So we'll just stick this back together because honestly, don't feel like messing with that. Like I said, if you don't know what it is or how to take it apart, don't mess with it. So for this extra stuff in here, I'm going to be extremely light-handed and careful and just kind of use a paper clip tip to kind of get this extra gunk out of here. When I say extremely light-handed, I mean like I don't even want to touch the board. I want to be super light, like a ninja. Light foot, light stepping. Be very cautious. And take a little bit of a Q-tip and just kind of See if I can get anything else out of there. This is just me kind of being anal, you guys. You don't have to do this stuff. This is me just like looking at something and being like, God damn it, come out of there. So that's it. That's our graphics processing unit all cleaned off. Clean as it's gonna get. There's like dust in different spots here, so I'm gonna take some time, like I said, while I have it apart. Might as well dust it down. Don't know when the last time I'm gonna be, or next time I'm gonna be in here will be. So let's all dust it down. We could pop the back plate off probably too and take a look down there, but honestly I don't really care to, because chances are there's nothing worth looking at down there anyways. So just gonna go ahead and leave that alone. We'll leave the back plate on, because I don't mind the back plate. I actually like the way it looks, so I'm not gonna bother painting that. Alright, so let's move on to this bad boy. Take a look at these screws. So I'm pretty sure the screws right here are basically the only ones holding it together. That's the wrong screwdriver. And make sure I haven't lost any screws. So we have the main screws. So another thing to help you guys from losing screws is to screw them back where you found them. So if I don't want to lose these 4 screws, simply stick them back in the hole. Screw them in lightly or tightly, whichever one. You don't have to do too tight though. So I just keep them in here so I don't lose them, and I know where they came from, because other than that we have 2 other screws. I know where those came from. So, and then 3 random screws which I don't necessarily remember. Oh, the fan. Okay, it came from the fan. So I was like, I don't necessarily remember where those came from. Now I do. So let's pop these open. So underneath one of these thermal pads they put a screw, those sneaky bastards. So we're gonna pop that screw out. Sneaky bastards, Sapphire, sneaky, sneaky. There we go. So all those screws are the same. That's another thing. If you're pulling out things like this, like they're different levels and stuff, and the holes look smaller and bigger, make sure the screws are all the same size, because you don't want to have that. So that is the gigantic, enormous, fucking double-sided heat plate with a ridiculous amount of copper heat pipes. So, bam, Sapphire does a nice job of this stuff. Give it all a nice little quick blow through. A lot of people will be like all in the faint of heart and not showing, like, not sure if they want to do something like this. Now, while this is kind of not necessarily, I wouldn't really consider it too risky. It honestly isn't. If you just are careful with things, and make sure you put everything back the way you found it, and more or less follow, like, it's not necessarily any instructions here, but we can go ahead and say like along the lines of common sense instructions. You know what I mean? If something doesn't want to come loose, triple, quadruple check for screws before you apply any amounts of pressure or force to make it come apart, because there might be something holding it together. Now, because I've taken this card apart now, like this is my first time doing it, but now I know how to do it, chances are that the next time I do this, it's not going to be nowhere near as tedious. I know where all the screws were. I know how many I need to take out before I can get the actual thing to come apart. So I'm not really worried, not to mention I'm dealing with a part that is really not that scary to touch, because it's not like the actual PCB and stuff. So just keep that in mind, you guys. Follow the common sense of taking things apart and being careful with your hardware. Don't just start ripping things apart unless you know exactly what you're taking apart. If you don't know, like I didn't know, it's my first time doing this, so I have no idea. I didn't know how all this was going to work out. Honestly, I was actually thinking about painting this card when I first got it, but I wasn't really too into taking it apart. But now that the 970s and 980s are out, I kind of want one anyways. So worst case scenario, this one breaks, I disappear from YouTube for about a month or 2 because I'm saving up money for a 980. So one thing we're going to want to remember is the alignment of all of this. And then this is the little LED, which actually takes power from the fan. That's actually neat. So it's got these little clips in here that hold that in place. So we're going to very gently see if we can pull this LED out. Looks like it might be double-sided on there, double-sided tape on there. So we're going to move this out of the way since we're not using that. We're going to find a really, really tiny flathead screwdriver. We're going to see if we can pry it out from underneath without causing any damage to these little tiny soldered wires here, because I really like the LED. There we go. So we have the LED strip here. We're going to be, like I said, this thing's got some really tiny screws on it. These fans unplug because honestly they connect together and it would be a little tough to unplug them without that. So we can unplug those two and kind of jimmy these out. There we go. And that's the part I want to paint. Simple as that. See, this is what I mean by the LED strip. We'll unplug it for now since it's not going to be in use. I think it's just a pull plug. I'm not really sure. Looks like you might have to pry some things or push some things. I don't really know. Okay, I'm not going to unplug it. That's annoying. So as you can see, it's got these really thin little things right there, which you don't want to put any pressure on. So, I'm not sure if this thing had a top or a bottom. Probably should have established that beforehand, but oh well, I'll figure out. These are really thin fans. Look at this, you guys. Super duper tiny fans. Oh my god. It's so thin. So little. They're so quiet. Alright, you guys, so we'll come back after this is painted and put it back together. Alright, you guys, so we're back. Sorry, I threw it all back together off camera because I just wanted to get it over with and together. So, it's all together. Bam. As you guys can see, painted white and black. So, match my case a lot better, I guess. And look really freaking cool. So, yeah, that's it.